Sleep on the job, Lon. You have to open it and put it up.
I didn't realize all those people in Sewer District 2 over in the east side were all on.
Please rise for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gracious Heavenly Father, as people try to chase you out of this country and out of our universe, Father, we acknowledge you are the creator of the universe. You are the author of truth. And Father, we stand before you today and honor you and thank you for the blessings that you shower upon us. Father, we also remember that death comes at many stages, and we lost a young man here in Finney County, but they also lost a young man in Seward County last week. And Father, we ask that you be with those families. And it's a little harder to understand when the youth are dying at 19 and 21. Father, we ask too that you guide us in our thoughts, words, and deeds as we carry on the business of the county today. And Father, we bring all of our prayers to you through your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Lon. I have just a few comments. Our census deadline is approaching. Well, I'm sure most of you in the audience and who are watching this, we're talking to the majority here that you've already completed your census, but if you have not, please do so. It's very important to our county. That extent to my comments. We have approximately 10 minutes before we open up the public hearings for the budgets. They will be on the screen, I'm sure, for those in the audience can look. So we have 10 minutes to kill. Commission, anybody have any comments that they would like to bring forward? If not, we might just jump into commission reports to get that out of the way.
Public comment.
Public comment, we don't have any listed. Anybody in the room with public comment? Hearing none. Well, in order to kill the 10 minutes, we'll do a few commission reports. Lon, I'll start on your side today.
The only things that I have, I missed the KAC board meeting Friday with family activities that I was committed to, but I know they talked about the legislative policy a little bit. We'll wrap that up on the 11th of September. There's also some broadband. I think I forwarded the email to you, did I not, Robert? The broadband thing this coming Friday.
Correct.
That they're going to do some education and Q&A and so forth. But the broadband thing is all going to be through grants with Stan Adams at the Department of Commerce coordinating that. And then I think each of you probably got an email in the last couple of days. I had a call from Doug with regard to KLPG annual meeting being September 30th. It'll be by Zoom this year rather than in person. But he was visiting about some of the items that they're going to have on the agenda when he called me the other day. So that's the extent of my report.
Thank you. Dave?
I can be pretty quick, Mr. Chairman. I had 3 meetings since our last meeting. Library board, a rather routine matter and nothing of compelling change was discussed there. Had a Finney County Committee on Aging meeting, and the big difference there was Sherry Campbell was able to come and attend that meeting. You know, she suffered a brain aneurysm and had surgery and has been out of the office. But they're allowing her doctors are allowing her to work a couple hours a day, like 3 days a week in the office, and the rest of the time from home, a couple hours a day for a while. Also had Planning Commission, and our only item on the agenda was, if you recall, here a month or so ago, we took action on some changes for towers on certain pieces of property. But in that resolution that we passed, there was no altitude, no height. So the planning commission put 400-foot height in where they can authorize that at the at the city office in our behalf, rather than having to go to the zoning board of appeals. Finally, heard from two different people. One of them's in our audience today, a concern about a carnival at our fairgrounds, and while the person in the audience said they were not attending, her concern, I can understand, is that next week the kiddies go back to school, and so those who went to the carnival, maybe that's a real good place to try to get exposed to the virus if you wanted to get exposed and then show up at school. She had a concern about it, and I explained that I think probably I'm correct in this, that the Beef Empire Days had a contract that's kind of ongoing, but they've had a contract for a year that includes in that contract the ability to have a carnival. And even though the Beef Empire Days by and large was canceled, here came the carnival. And so I don't know that we can do much about it now, but there was that concern. So that's my report.
Thank you, Dave. Dr. Clifford?
I was on the broadband webinar this week. As I interpret it, we wouldn't be eligible for any of that 60 million. I don't know, did Doug get on? You know,
I don't know if Doug made it on, but I did speak with Jeff Stevens, our consultant, and he's still moving forward in that direction, as if we may be able to access some of the funding from that.
well, it'd be ideal, and I think we're sort of shovel ready, to use that Obama era term. But 50 million was connectivity, seemed like citizen connectivity to sort of hubs, hospitals, health centers, and maybe our loop fits into that criterion. The other one's 10 million for affordability, and that's for individual citizens. So, and they're on again this Friday, you said, Mr. Adams?
Well, the thing Friday, I don't remember what the email said, but it was like Q&A or something. I'd have to pull that up again if I still have it here.
As with everything else, there's some really short deadlines.
Yeah, the applications are due by the end of this week, I
Right.
believe.
Well, or the 27th. What is the 27th? Yeah,
End of
I
this
don't know.
week.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be
It's quick.
Runs in my mind.
So,
Just 27th.
I'm glad to hear you're pursuing that.
Correct.
I think we're in a good position. Participated in the United Way Golf Tournament, 240 people, very successful. I'll be in Hutch Thursday for a Republican event. That's all I had.
Larry?
Only thing we had a KLPG exec call to decide what we were gonna do. Most of us were in favor of having it in face-to-face meeting, but they just opted to just do a morning online and then in the afternoon do speakers, so it'll be, guess we'll see how it works.
Why morning though? I mean, if you take
For
a day of
businesses,
work,
I don't know.
you
That
work in the morning and then a question there.
just the way Doug and John, they,
Maybe think it to be.
you know, decided to run it, so we'll see. They could change too, you know. I don't think it's set in stone.
I asked them to change.
As for me, I've had a Great Plains development meeting. We had quite a discussion on the federal state grants to local businesses. It was under Bob's opinion that you can't, if you take a grant here, you can't get a grant over there. And there's a lot of paperwork going on. I asked him about the Sparks grants that we might be giving out, and he says, "Oh my goodness, we can't." At this point in time, they'd like information, but they don't see how they could any way possible help us with grants under that. I did offer the next time we had a meeting with Jeff Stevens to make sure he knows so that he can tie into that and maybe pick up some information. But it's in Bob's opinion that the number of grants we could be looking at, we allocated up maybe $2 million to that side of it. At $30,000 limit, that's a lot of grants. And he's saying, who's going to write them? So interesting, but he would very much like to tie into our next conference with Jeff Stevens.
We're anticipating having that, in their scheduled meeting on, in September. First scheduled one of that.
But right now, they're even overwhelmed with just the grants that they're writing right now that's going through the pipeline. So they have something to do. They really do. All right, it is now 8:40. That worked out quite well. Let's open the public hearing for the Finney County budget. I believe we need a motion for that effect. Gentlemen, can I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Do I hear a second?
What are we moving?
To open the public hearing meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we open the public hearing for the Finney County budget. Okay. Discussion on that budget.
You want to vote on that?
Maybe we ought to. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Sorry, I don't mean to miss
I
out.
get ahead of myself
Well,
sometimes. Okay.
We're doing well.
So I get standing, for the public, I'm corrected just on a daily basis. All right. Public hearing is now open. Discussion on that hearing before we have moved to approve that. Any discussion you guys want to put forward?
Mr. Chairman, my only comment would be that I'm glad to see that we tried to keep our mill levy flat, even though if you technically inclined would say that you would not, because we moved part of it over to the Ag Extension District. Is a new budget item that will show up in their base taxes.
Any further comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd be curious if any of the participants would have any input.
Any organizations, department heads in the room have any comment that they would like to make at this time? Hearing none.
Mr. Chairman, this is Dave. I would offer a motion to approve the Finney County general budget. What's a technical name, Robert?
You would adopt the, Finney County, operating budget.
Yeah, the operating budget as is presented before us and is proposed.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Now I will call for a vote. How about that, Dave? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And for two back there, that's you're okay, and wherever Pam is, your budget's prevail, so you're welcome to stay.
All right, according to the schedule, we have 3 minutes before we can open the next public hearing.
Everybody signs.
Efficient clerk gave us homework. We can sign our budget that we just passed while we burn 3 minutes.
That's it.
It's now 8:45. According to the agenda, we may now open the public hearing for sewer district number 1. Do I have a motion to open that hearing?
So,
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We open the public hearing for sewer district number 1. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. Motion carried. I might, looking through the budget for number 1, I might point out that we have decreased both the budget authority and the mill levy, estimated mill levy for that budget. So for those of you in district number 1, it's probably quite good news. Further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, may I have a motion to approve
This
sewer
one,
district number 1?
this one, so moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the budget for sewer district number 1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried. Again, according to the agenda, we have to wait till 8:50 to open up district number 2. So a little bit of silence again.
Sure appreciate these maps. These are,
Yeah, really. Had to get away.
yeah. Just looking at the map, I'd say about half the possible clients are on
Half of the
lots or,
lots. Yeah, this is the big section. Well,
yeah.
without any. Actually, the line was extended along the stones there. Sorry,
I remember we did, we had another deal that we talked about years ago.
so they dug it, then it wasn't feeding. So we go back and redig it. This is a pipeline right here.
So,
And Chuck Catney had to go out there and get permission to put his laterals in that, because he was out of room in his own yard.
oh, really? Did they allow you to do that?
Yeah, well, it went back to the Brookover Company.
No.
There was a pipeline right away that was abandoned, so, and then Brookover allowed him to do it. I'm not sure how many other people are gonna be able to do that.
But the rate looks like it's about the same. It changed. 5 mils, 5
It is pretty stable out there.
rates down.
Okay, the clock has finally said 8:50. So And now we're able to open up public hearing for sewer district number 2.
Move to open the hearing for sewer district 2.
Second?
Been moved and seconded to open the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Looking at the budget, the budget authority has dropped slightly from current year. However, the estimated tax rate has increased just a tiny thousandth or two of mil. Any comment from the commissioners?
It's like a fairly level budget.
It's been quite well. Number 1 and number 2 have been quite well.
Move
Discussion.
to approve the budget for District 2, excuse me.
Second?
Been moved and seconded for the approval of the budget for sewer district number 2. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Well, that only took us a minute, so now we have 4 minutes of dead air time. As you might tell from with all the heavy lifting has been done, and this is just the final approval for those in the audience. Lon,
Well,
you look like you have something to say.
well, and questions and concerns from the public. We, as counties have been accused of raising taxes without public input. And we offer the opportunity at every one of these public hearings.
Yes, we have.
Are you pulling up number 3 on our screen? Well, it's not on ours, so.
So I don't know if you noticed, but at the back of your books are the charts that you had been requesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you all caught those.
I was telling Jeff I really appreciated those. I like those.
Should be in front.
Yeah.
Thanks. So,
For the production of this document, actually training and presentation of it. We need to thank Roxanne from her organization. for
Nice job,
all the
Roxanne.
Printing and so forth.
I just printed it, Sarah did hard work.
Yeah, they did an excellent job on it. So
it's a nice product.
Yeah.
it's
It's a lot easier to find stuff than going through a stack.
it's amazing how it works.
I really appreciate the map, you kind of,
Trey and John worked on the maps to get those refined and so forth, so. Overall good product, I think.
Dory, do you keep a copy of this book at your office in case the public would like to glance at it, or?
Yeah, I always have it on file in my office.
So there you have it. If you would like to see what we're seeing, you can't take it home, but you can sure come in and she'll show you this booklet of what that the commission is looking at and It's a very nice presentation.
We'll send one more to the library too.
I believe it'll be online as well.
The clock has clicked to 8:55. We may now open up the hearing for district number 3.
I move we open up district number 3.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. We open the public hearing for district number 3. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. District number 3 has had a few challenges. Our county administrator has put a lot of effort and study into this. So Robert, I'm going to let you maybe outline some of what you found in number 3.
Absolutely. With some of the information that I received through research through the clerk's office and treasurer's office, I put together a spreadsheet for you to review, in essence, identifying annual operating costs of this facility, this sewer district specifically, and some of the challenges that it's had. In the past, the fund balance has dropped into the negative at year end. And of course, as you're well aware, that's one of the things that we get gigged on our annual audit is the negative fund balance. As we looked through the last 5 years of this district, the information on that, you'll notice that there is a continued increase based upon the information from the treasurer's office, increase in delinquencies for that district, both in the special assessments that are taxed to the homeowners to retire the debt, as well as the user's fee, which is charged annually at $312 per lot, I believe.
Per person.
Excuse me, per parcel. So you'll see that historically within what I provided to you in the supporting documentation, the increased delinquency. Besides that, in 2017, and speaking with county engineers, that they had some major issues within the system, and you'll see that as a major spike in the expenditures in 17 of approximately $40,000 or more for work to be done to it. Those types of things really start to disrupt your cash flow and your ending fund balance and so on and so forth. What I've presented to you today for just the discussion aspect of it was the presentation of a sewer district number 3 budget proposal that actually increases the mill levy approximately 6 mills, just a little over 6 mills. As you review some of the documentation that I provided to you, you see that as a suggestion that we may want to consider a mixed approach to righting the ship, if you will. In essence, creating a funding mechanism that will allow us to end the year with a positive fund balance so that we do not have a cash basis violation and get this off of the audit as a management remark. That approach, in essence, is proposing a 2 mil increase, going up to approximately 7 mils from approximately 5 mils. It also includes the potential transfer of up to $7,000 from sewer district's general fund into the debt service fund for the same purpose of meeting the expectations and debt service obligations of the county. And then the third part of this is to revisit your current fee schedule for sewer service in that area. I think you'll find that on average, statewide average, that a rural sewer district will have a monthly rate of approximately $44 to $45 a month. Right now, we're somewhere probably right around $26, $27 a month. So those are things that I think the county needs to consider as we move forward, trying to set up a financial situation for this district to allow it to succeed. We have the other aspect of the billing is that we do this on an annual basis. I don't know whether that contributes to the delinquency rate or not, but at least we can look at potentially adjusting that to perhaps quarterly, semi-annually, or even monthly. If we get down to that quarterly, monthly basis, the county should then go ahead and invest in a utilities program to make this process a lot easier to do. Plus, you do have two other sewer districts that could utilize that as well and spread the cost over 3 sewer districts. So that, in summary, is what I have before you was Sewer District 3 for your consideration. Be curious if you have questions, concerns.
Question on the billing. Does Dory handle all 3 districts on the billing?
Yeah.
So why are we are that's just the way they're set up, or?
That's how it's been done for years. Trust me, we've talked about getting those centralized, but it just hasn't happened.
Well, if we buy the software, I think that'd be the first thing you do is
Yes.
centralize the billing. And I'd be all in favor of doing it quarterly. At least maybe that would cut down on delinquencies. I don't know, but
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
2 questions on the delinquency. I'll probably have more questions, but on the delinquency issue. Number 1 is, do we have a breakdown, because we have 2 subdivisions that are being serviced by this sewer district. Do we have a breakdown of the delinquencies percentage-wise in one subdivision versus the other subdivision?
Okay, I'll look to Tricia on that because I don't believe it's broken out that way in
No,
your
it's not,
tax,
it's all.
in your tax
it's
roll.
all
Okay, so they're all shown as one subdivision.
Correct.
In the tax thing. And then secondly, when they become delinquent, when the $312 is what we're talking about on the delinquency, is that correct?
Well, there's actually 2 delinquencies. One is on the operating fee, which is your annual fee, and the other is for the delinquencies on the specials for the retirement of the debts.
But that's on the tax bill.
Correct.
So if they're delinquent on that, they're delinquent on their taxes. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, I guess maybe it's a kind of a 2-part thing. So on that piece of it that's on the taxes, and after a certain period of time, it goes to tax sale.
Correct.
So what happens with the other piece of this, the 312? Is it not added to the tax bill
It is
if it's
rolled over.
delinquent?
I believe the clerk certifies to the treasurer in September. Is that correct? The amount of delinquent receipts for sewer service, and then that gets added to as a specials on their tax bill.
So the crux of my question is this. I don't know if the additional billing and so forth would cut down on the delinquencies, and I mean the frequency of billing, excuse me, I used the wrong word. Frequency of billing would cut down on delinquencies that much. It might. But nevertheless, whatever is delinquent is added to their tax bill, and they're evidently not paying their taxes. So we're not just delinquent on the sewer district front, we're delinquent on taxes. Otherwise, a percentage of that tax bill would be back to the sewer district.
You're correct.
So I think we've got a bigger issue, is the point of my question, that I think we've got a bigger issue than just the sewer district delinquencies. We've got a property tax issue, because I would guess that those are delinquent. Am I
No,
guess
you're
I'm
correct.
looking
The
to somebody
special-
to say, yeah, I'm on track, or no, I'm not on track.
No, if the specials go unpaid, then the taxes
Yeah.
would have gone unpaid.
The county's not being paid the property tax
Correct.
for the home and so forth too. So I think we need to keep it in context, keep it in perspective here. That it's more than just a sewer district issue when it comes to the delinquency question.
There's a higher delinquency rate on the user fees
Right.
than on the
But,
tax bills.
but that should be going to their tax bill,
It
and then they
does,
should be paying their tax bill.
but the ones that have that special, there's a higher delinquency rate for the ones that have that special.
But as they pay their tax bill, then after it's been added to the tax bill, it should be coming back to the district. Right, so, yeah, I don't know, I mean, I understand people are not planners, people don't budget, as I think, as I've been counseling for 40 years, how they should budget and save up for that annual thing. And then lastly, to my, one of my questions, do not take away the annual opportunity to pay. If we go to a monthly or some quarterly or whatever, we need to make sure there is still the option for the homeowner to pay on an annual basis. There's too many of us in that subdivision that want to pay annually. So we need to leave that as an option to pay annually.
You know, I think those are things that we can hash out as we move forward. In my mind, the issue at hand here is how do we create a funding mechanism for this sewer district in order to meet its obligations.
But I want to just repeat the one thing. If they're delinquent in the sewer district and it's going to the tax bill, and we're still not getting that delinquent payment back to the sewer district, they're evidently not paying their property tax either, is my point.
And when is that ever captured? When the property's sold? Or we have tax sale triggers after 3 years or something? Or-
That's my understanding of the process.
I do not know the last time Benton County has had a tax sale for,
Last year,
say what?
we had one last year.
Okay.
We didn't have one, just for your education, Robert, we didn't have one for 10, 15, maybe even longer years. And then we had a huge one a number of years ago, and now I think we're back on track to having them on a regular basis.
So are we having more tax sales out of that district or not?
That's what I don't know.
I don't remember any.
No properties from that district were sold last year.
So they're evidently coming up with the money somewhere.
That's my point. I don't know why the district is short of funds as much as the delinquencies show, because we should be capturing those as the property taxes come in. That's what I'm having trouble reconciling.
Other than the delay factor.
The delay, you're right, sure, exactly. There could be a 2-year delay. I get that. But if we have, and I'm just pulling a number out of the air, if we have a 50% delinquency, ultimately it should not be 50% delinquent to the sewer district if they're paying their taxes. That's my.
But to facilitate the payment, that's why I was saying.
I get that. No, I get that piece of it. But if, like I said, even today, the delinquencies shouldn't equal the dollars coming into the sewer district, because ultimately we should be getting that even if it's a year or 2 years down the road.
Delinquencies are not the only issue here.
Oh, I
We're still
understand.
running approximately 15,000 short of meeting.
Correct,
Well, we had that big operating thing, problem, yes.
in 17, correct.
So it's a combination. of everything.
But I was trying to pinpoint the delinquency issue. But yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
To make up for that 15,000, we either need to combination of raise rates or do it all with the mill levy, one or the other, or a combination.
And I do understand that.
Commissioner Jones, you kind of waved
I
at
did
me there.
this day for those online. Robert, I'm curious, your proposal here for us to consider, I appreciate. But if we would agree to raise the mill two mills from 5 to 7, we still need to make an adjustment to the annual or the quarterly, whatever rate they pay for the service.
Correct.
And so it looks to me like the $45 per month average or the $540 a year almost is what it's going to take to recover financially. But does that create a bigger problem with delinquency than the $312? That's,
You're absolutely correct.
That's
There is a bit of a balancing act, if you will, in providing that service, so that you don't price yourself out of that and increase your delinquency ratio.
And if I could please, the other issue is the water bills have increased substantially out there. And so not only are people looking at increased sewer rates possibly, they are already experiencing increased water rates. So to answer Dave's question, the delinquencies will continue to rise.
the one little thought process I might add to the equation, though, I had a conversation with Mr. Towns, the developer of that area, last week. And I mentioned to him that we were struggling here with that sewer district and how to fund it. And he said, being truthful about it, there's not been a sewer rate increase in years. He couldn't remember the last time. So I don't know.
I don't know if John has any.
I have it, but it's on my computer, so I don't. It's been 6-7 years since we've.
Yeah, he said for a long time. So he didn't think it would be unfair considering inflation to see an adjustment. So I don't know how many folks would agree with him, but
And
anyway.
95% would not agree with him. I mean, they would agree with him because the numbers are there, that the sewer rate has not been increased. But because he has raised the water rates so substantially within the last 2 years, they would argue with him on that, with the overall cost of living in the subdivision.
My concern, Mr. Chairman, is I'm not anxious to see Finney County own a number of properties in that sewer district through tax sales. We already have 3 or 4 on the last big tax sale we had, and they're a little difficult to get rid of. So I don't know what our answer is. We can't go shut off individual homes because they didn't pay their bill. The sewer system not set up like the natural gas line or the whatever. So
In addition to that, KDHE will not allow that to happen as well.
One more comment. We've got
Go
two
ahead.
more, both of you over here, and before I have Mike say so, go ahead. Larry.
Well, you mentioned a $7,000 transfer. Is that maybe next year? On page 199, I don't see the transfer. So
Well, once again, I don't have that scheduled in right now, because of the fact that my initial proposal on the budget was the 6 mil increase. Now, pending the decision by the board during this hearing, we could make an adjustment down on the mill levy and adjust the budget to include a transfer at that point in time. So we can make an adjustment to the budget documents as a reduction in that mill levy, and then I can schedule that transfer in.
and you can do that this morning here for us. I mean, so that would cushion the increase. In other words,
Yes.
and we'd still have money to meet the GO payment as well.
Yes.
And that's a 40-year note, as I recall.
That's correct.
Are we 20 years into a 40-year note? Or?
2041 is when it expires.
2041.
So we won't be here.
Story.
Gabby.
Larry, your comment?
I would just, my comment would be, I think we need to go with Robert's recommendation, to raise it 2 mils, and then get the billing back to, maybe go to a billing, everybody billed out of the same location. I don't know how expensive the software is.
We're checking on that, I'm not
Okay.
certain what it
But
is.
to do it on a quarterly basis and hopefully get people up to speed
And raise the
and
user fee?
and raise the user fee. To whatever, to make it work, it's gotta pay for itself eventually. We don't wanna do it all in 1 year. I think if you phase it in, maybe we can get it back to whole.
And that's what this approach is designed to. It's a gradual process to try and bring it back in line.
What are you proposing to raise the user fee? Is the $45 a month turns out to be,
It's almost double.
That's nearly double.
yeah, $540.
No, I don't think you can do that.
If you would allow staff to maybe explore that a little bit and bring back a recommendation for that. I don't know whether or not you need to resolve that issue right at this hearing, but we should here within the next month.
But we do need to make the mill adjustment if it's gonna be adjusted today, correct?
That is correct, yes.
I will say that billing does need to get out. It's due by September 30th, so.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Due by September 30th.
Yes.
That's when we send it to tax.
We can bring that back to the board, the first meeting in September for consideration on a possible,
Just trying to give people enough time to pay that before the end of
Correct.
September, so.
Well, I'm going to further complicate. After listening to Commissioner Fishney, who's in that sewer district, I kind of gathered that it'd be more palatable to increase the mill levy and leave the user fees alone, stating what he said with the water fees. Is that a fair assessment, sir?
I would say so, yes.
But I think it's been traditionally way too low, and I think it needs to come up. People need to pay as they go, rather than have these large assessments at the end of the year. I mean, if you went in the middle there, the average, you'd be at $35.50 a month instead of 26. So I'd be actually in favor of raising the user fee.
Along with the mill levy.
The two, and then the
Yeah.
user fee up, but I don't know how the math works out. That's
So you would propose a
50.
$35.50 user fee and then the mill levy recalculated to make it.
That'd be $426 a year.
Right.
Which you'll hear screaming about, but.
Interesting.
Well, what way it's been going now, the other taxpayers in the county are paying for their sewer. Cause we're taking down
Well-
the,
Yeah, I get that, but we also have that 40-year bond that kind of skews ours, so, I mean, as far as costs.
Or now I'm confused a little bit. It's not the regular taxpayers. It's still coming out of the sewer district's general fund, not the county general fund. Is that correct?
At this time it is.
Yes.
Right now, there has been times that you can see in that spreadsheet where the net of the general debt service fund, well, in 17, you did have an overall negative balance when you net the general fund's balance of 17,000 and a negative 26,000 in the debt service. So, but once again, that's an extraordinary year. In 18, you had approximately a $10,000 buffer between the two. So your margin is very slight there. And once again, at this point in time, except for 2017, there's been enough in the operating fund to transfer to cover that.
Okay.
So I was in my proposal of just gradually looking at increasing the mill levy. I'm trying to lessen the overall tax impact there, because these traditionally on an enterprise fund such as this, your user's fee should cover that expenditure without supplementing it very much with your, with the mill levy. So that gradual approach of a couple of meals this year, make an adjustment to the fee schedule. Maybe we can pull it around gradually without a big jolt is what I'm hoping for.
Either way you look at it, the residents of that sewer district 3 were going to need to come up with about $15,000
That's
in
correct.
one way or the other.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's the way I read it. And you read my comments correctly, Mr. Chairman, that I would hesitate to go up any more than say to $30 equal to $30 a month. And I know we're not setting that fee today, but that's $360. That's up from $312. So.
Well, in a way, we are setting that fee today, whether we set the mill levy
Well, that's
or
true.
the user
Right,
fee.
right.
Whatever
In essence,
the motion
Yeah.
is for,
Yeah.
the other one will have to offset.
That's true, yeah. But I would, well, to Robert's last comment, I would like to see that be a little more gradual, because like I said, there's some of us out there, could pay a $500 fee and that's not a big deal. But it will increase the delinquencies, and then we've just compounded our problem.
correct.
So we've got to be careful about that.
Just a question, in that other part of the development, is most of that landlord owned and rented? Or most of that
There's
is
some
homeowner?
of both. There's one, I understand there's one owner of 40 lots that's then, collecting rent lot, which he'll probably pass on to all of the, the people who are renting the lots. It's kind of like renters in town. When you raise property tax, the landlord's not going to eat that. They're going to pass it on to the renters.
But if they're delinquent on their sewer fee, it goes on the landlord's taxes.
I would guess so. I would guess so. But I don't know if that 40 is exactly right. That's what I've been told is out of those 125 lots or whatever the number is out there, that one person owns about 40 of those. And then I know there's one homeowner who was talking to me through all this health issue, and she owns 3 lots and rents to her parents and somebody else. And so there's some people that own more than one lot. Yeah. But I would say it's the owner of the lot that's paying the property tax and so forth.
From the public's perspective, we're spending a lot of time on a relatively minor budget compared to the overall county budget. However, this is something that's been avoided for quite some time, so this discussion has needed to happen. So if your board just tears, I apologize, but we do need to work this thing out.
And Mr. Chairman, just to add to that, to keep it in perspective, but it is affecting over 200 homeowners.
That is correct, sir. Somebody be bold enough to make a motion, and so we can debate and discuss further.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go with our administrator's recommendation of the 2 mil increase and then raise the monthly to 30.
If that is, now wait a minute, you're restricting too much here. If we still got to come up with 15,000. I suggest we lock in one or the other, then let the staff figure out what the other half of that has to be to make this balance.
Well, or maybe just raise
That's
the 2
fair.
mils and forget let them decide whether
I hate to affect your motion,
Well,
so
that's
I'm
fine.
out of line doing that,
no,
but
that's fine.
Does that, well, just so I'm clear, does that include the 7,000 transfer or just the 2 mills? I mean, I wanted to just make sure, because we were talking
I was
about,
just going by what was written up in our.
we were talking about both of those, so I just wondered.
The third part of that funding would be a transfer from the operating, general operating fund of approximately $7,000 to the debt service fund.
So
Approximately 2 million values would generate about 5,400, and then the remainder shortfall, if you will, would be made up in your fee structure, monthly fee structure. You'd have roughly about a $3,000 shortfall that we would make up through your fee structure.
Okay,
No, not okay. I don't understand.
2 mils.
2 mils.
2 mils,
So the
okay.
recommendation that he presented to us this morning.
Is a 2 mil increase. Do I hear a second?
I'd like, go ahead and,
Second.
Mr. Chairman.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I'd like to offer an amendment to the 7, or to the 2 mills, to amend that to also transfer, the authority to transfer the 7,000, and then let staff work out the monthly fee or the annual fee. That would be my offer for a motion of amendment.
Let's get our parliamentary down. I need a second on the motion to amend.
Second.
The motion to amend is to add $7,000 to the
To
original
give the authority to transfer.
authority to transfer. So all in favor of the motion to give the staff authority to transfer $7,000 into,
That's correct. Sam.
okay. All in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, the original motion is a 2 million increase with authority to transfer 7,000. That's the motion on the floor. Discussion on that motion.
Not on that motion, but just so Dorothy, and I think she's got it right, but on that 7,000 that we just passed, to take the wording out of Roberts, it's from the sewer general fund to the sewer debt service fund. That's the transfer that we're talking about on the 7,000.
Correct. This is all
We need to make
within
sure- We need to
the
make sure it's worded that way.
sewer district fund, not
That's
the
what
general.
my motion said. I just didn't say it.
Discussion on that motion. Further. If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
We will come back to you, your next meeting, and make a recommendation on fee structures, monthly fee structure to finish up this, the funding requirements for this city district.
And software costs.
And at
Yeah,
that
we'll-
point, can we look at software cost and maybe quarterly billing as well?
Yes, yeah, well, we should have that cost for you by then as well, so.
All right. Further discussion on sewer districts? I guess we're done with that. All right.
Do we need to adopt that budget?
So, yeah, at this point, you would motion then to adopt the sewer district number 3 annual budget based upon a 2 mil increase in the $7,000 transfer from the operating fund. I'll make those adjustments then to the worksheets, and you can sign off on them when you meet at your next meeting.
Okay, yeah, we did not adopt.
So the total increase would be 6.981 if I'm reading that correctly.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve that.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve sewer district number 3 at 6.981 mill rate. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion is carried.
Thank you.
That is our agenda. Anything further that should be coming in front of the commission at this point in time before next meeting?
I
And
think
I'm
that
gonna be
comment.
starting these around to sign for signature.
Yes, we have signing to be passed.
I have a comment. I read the minutes of the Horse Thief Reservoir Board, and they approved a no bid $110,000 contract for riprap out there. And I think we need Henry or somebody here in front of us to answer to that. I don't like what they're doing out there personally. I don't know how you all feel about it,
I guess I didn't.
but we don't
agree.
do the $110,000 budget. I mean, it's no bid.
This,
And I mean,
his last report to us, though, as I recall, they had a couple $1 million in the bank account.
we're good. Let's end the sales tax then.
That is scheduled to end, is
Flush.
it not,
2021.
here soon on?
Well, I just, I don't know how that struck you all, but those are public funds and you just don't know bid at those levels personally.
Yes.
I'll follow up with him and Chris Law.
If need be, put them on, get them on our agenda.
Sign up there above.
Just in that area.
Sorry, I just glanced at
Well, good point. We'll take it. Thank you. Any other comments from the commissioners before we adjourn?
Great hearing.
We're adjourned. We need signing here, guys, so the papers are working their way
No
around.
legal.